Good evening. I'm Pinky Webb. Tonight we ask the questions, we tackle the issues, we clarify matters, and we get on point. After being suspended due to bad weather last week, the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte resumed today with her alleged misuse of confidential funds still taking center stage. On day 17 of the trial, former OVP Special Disbursing Officer Gina Acosta took the witness stand once again and was grilled on her decision to release secret funds to a security officer. Does Acosta's testimony strengthen the case against the Vice President? Let's get on point with Attorney Judd Roy. He served as defense lawyer during the Corona impeachment trial. Attorney, finally, good to have you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Pinky.
All right.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, everyone. I tell you, it's unusual for me to be out away from home at this hour.
Much appreciated. Let's talk about Gina Acosta. She took the witness stand for the second time, one last week, and then, of course, today. Let's again say what she was classified. She was classified as a hostile witness. In your opinion, was she beneficial to the prosecution or was she beneficial to the defense?
Well, there are certain things that Gina Acosta will confirm, and it cuts both ways. Okay, for instance, by putting her on the stand, you reinforce the argument or the point that all of this was under the control of the VP. Very crucial. Because we're not talking about one or two transactions. We're talking about hundreds of transactions over an entire year, 500 million pesos. Now, can we simply say that, well, the VP didn't know what was really going on? Surely, even Ms. Acosta would have seen that something was wrong with the way things were taking place. Now, is it sufficient for the defense to say, well, he's a security officer, he's the one who knows? Is it sufficient for Acosta to say, well, since he's the security officer, we just follow, etc.? But isn't it more important that the implication is, I had no choice? Because regardless of what was going on, the VP told me to give it to him, to La Chicano, as it were.
Okay, actually I wanted to talk about some of the maybe established facts, if you will, from her 2 days of testimony, at least from what I digested. One was that she was clear on, she is the disbursing officer, that's one, but she was not allowed to transfer that responsibility to someone else based on the Joint Circular 2015-01. That's one established fact. The second is, but please chime in if you think there needs to be something that needs to be corrected. Number two, she disbursed the confidential funds to Colonel La Chica, as she said, over and over again, as instructed by the Vice President, as you mentioned just a while ago. Number three, Colonel La Chica, she said, again, over and over, was the one responsible for the confidential activities. That's why she disbursed the money to him, because he was the appointed one of the Vice President to take care of
Correct.
this.
Now, the problem is that when there is an order to pay, it is made to a specific person. Okay? Now, you cannot pay to someone else. So if there's an order to pay, piatos, chicharon, etc., you've got to pay to them. And that's why they were asking, did you see this person? Did you see La Chica give it to this person? And so forth and so on.
Wala ako sa ground. Yun ang sinasabi.
I did not know. I did not care. I left it to La Chica. Now, can you imagine, Pinky, if we transpose that situation to the flood control funds? It's supposed to be paid to X, and the money is given to someone else. Can you imagine the trouble we'd be in? See? So, is it a serious violation? Absolutely. Because there's accountability at several levels. Accountability at the level of Acosta, who it appears is willing to take the bullet for now, but the repeated affirmation that the instructions came from the Vice President is telling. Why? Because over a protracted period of time, how can you not question what is going on? How can you not wonder why everything goes to this fellow La Chica, even if he's the security officer. She herself said he wasn't bonded.
Right.
Do you mean to tell me that throughout this entire period, the Vice President didn't know?
Do you think, Attorney Judd, that she knew exactly what her responsibility was and how grave her responsibility was as an SDO?
She knew that the Vice President was willing to cover her because she said, you can quote me, I order you, etc., and so forth. That's what she knew. And so she would simply say at a later point that, well, you know, I had no choice but to comply because this is my superior officer, and after all, she's going to sign for everything, so okay.
But isn't that ultimately what she said? She was instructed by the Vice
Yes.
President to give the money to Colonel La Chica.
Yes.
So who's liable now?
Both of them.
What
For
about
sure.
Colonel La Chica?
For sure. No, La Chica, herself, and the Vice President. You mean to tell me, because we can't pinpoint what happened, we're going to say, well, it's sorry, it's too bad because there seemed to be a lack of gaps in the information that each one knew. Obviously, La Chica is an important witness. Where is he?
Well,
Obviously, all the payees, right? Where are they? Who are they?
Yeah.
But over a period of 1 year, with and I guess this happened through how long was the Vice President in charge? Disbursing. I think it continues up to now. I don't know if they're
I
still
mean,
using.
2022 to 2023.
Okay, there. So
So it was the last quarter of 2022 and the first 3 quarters of 2023.
there you go. That's a full year, 500 million pesos. How can you be so negligent, so careless, so indifferent to all of this, knowing full well that you're going to sign for it at the end of the day? I mean, I'm talking now about the Vice President. How can Gina Acosta simply ignore the fact that her neck is on the line if she wasn't assured that she would be safe?
I think that was one of the questions of the senator judges when they said na, parang, exactly what you were saying, hindi mo ba iniisip na ikaw ang magiging responsable dito? Like she was, in a way, are you going to take a bullet for this? Parang ganun po
Yes.
yung... and what did you think about her demeanor? I mean, as a lawyer and watching her, she's very meek. Meron po siyang mga hindi niya maintindihan. There were some parts, though, that there were questions that were winding. So, to circle back to that, medyo nawawala po siya, kaya tinatanong niya ano yung tanong, or she will clarify the question.
Right.
But what do you think of her as a witness?
She was well prepared. I don't know if she was prepared by someone or she was prepared by herself, but things seemed to go much smoother when the defense lawyer was talking to her, and the prosecution had a rocky ride trying to get these points out. So that's the problem with a hostile witness. A hostile witness is one who's actually prepared to testify for the opponent,
Right.
and that's what happened here. But if there is no other place to draw the evidence from, then you take the risk. Was it a loss for the prosecution? I don't think so, because there were a number of things that could not have been secured from somebody else. How, for instance, would you get the confirmation that the Vice President herself made the instruction? No
Yeah.
one.
It's gonna come from Gina
so
Acosta.
take the risk. Put Gina Acosta there and go.
So, sino ho ang lumamang sa kanila with Gina Acosta, the prosecution or the defense?
Well, this is very hard to get the upper hand on a hostile witness who knows what she's doing. This one, remember on the first day, if I'm not mistaken, they had this whole thing about whether she could speak in English and whatnot. And what little I caught of today's proceedings, the defense counsel was talking to her in straight English. She had no difficulty whatever. So that goes to the credibility of the witness. But you see, this nuance, all right, it's a nuance in the testimony, may not have been noticed by the senator judges. After all, they're not experts at evaluating testimony. Well, they are in their hearings, in their investigative hearings. But a courtroom evaluation of testimony is slightly different because there are rules and there are what we call badges of dishonesty or badges of defects in the credibility. So little tricks like this.
Yeah.
Are telling.
So why did you say when I asked you sino nakapuntos kung prosecution or defense, you were saying what? Who?
It's difficult to say that one got the upper hand.
Why?
But
Why? If she established that she's the SDO, that she was ordered by the Vice President, and that she gave the money to Colonel La Chica, bakit po hindi yun puntos for the prosecution? Just asking.
They are. But it's not a complete win because there are many areas that she kept vague. See, for instance, they could not get beyond La Chica. It stopped there. She just said, well, what he gave me, I followed. And didn't you inquire as to what he gave you?
Yeah.
Right?
But there was a part where she said she did. Meron daw mga pagkakataon na walang date o walang pirma, kaya tinanong niya si Colonel La Chica at ang sinabi sa kanya is that it's confidential.
Right.
Kung ano ibigay ko sa'yo, yan na yun.
Yes,
dahil confidential to.
So that again,
nagtanong po siya.
Yes, but then you see, even what she asked for was inconsequential. What was the date? These are details, right? In the scheme of 500 million pesos, how many documents are we talking about? 800 or so? These are details. We're talking about a handful of things where blanks were left. The question should have been, where is this person? Where is that person? Who is this person? How come I always see this person's name? Why do the signatures look alike? Those are the questions that a proper disbursing officer...
More so than dates.
Yes. Well, of course, dates to complete the form. These are necessary. You know, COA is very strict. So, pag walang date, disallow, and all that stuff.
Well, yeah, so dapat nga very strict. So
very
you're saying
strict.
that the SDO should have had also that, even today it was used, the word used was common sense.
Yeah.
Tinanong po yun ng, I think, ni Senator Judge Raffy Tulfo.
We are beyond common sense here. There is a high responsibility for the SDO. That's why it says it must go to a bonded recipient. You see, if you're going to transfer the responsibility of disbursement to another person, that person must be bonded, like Gina Acosta.
And no one else was bonded except Gina Acosta.
You know, I was in government for some time, and I remember that I became a signatory. I had to be bonded, okay? And it was a tedious process, and then I realized I hated the job. Because it sent stacks of checks, and all I would do was sign checks. So they said, can you please relieve me of this burden? But you have to be bonded. That's the way it works. And now, how can you persist, again, to emphasize, how can you persist for a full year giving it to someone who isn't bonded on the say-so of your superior and not inquire beyond what he throws your way?
When you see a Gina Acosta, is a Gina Acosta that you see on the witness stand the type that would question her boss?
I don't think it's a matter of questioning her boss, but it's a matter of raising concerns to her boss and questioning what comes back to her. See? For instance, here the question, she should have gone to her boss and said, boss, I gave it to La Chica as you said, but look, these are the things that I noticed, this and that. Yeah. That hasn't been brought out.
Actually, you know what? Come to think of it, Attorney, one senator judge brought it up a while ago. I don't remember who. May nagtanong pong senator judge na, Ma'am Gina, nung nakita niyo po na may ganito, hindi mo ba pumunta sa boss mo at nagtanong? Meron po sa kanilang, that brought that up a while ago.
I'm sure she would have blocked that.
All right. We need to take a very short break. We'll continue our discussion with Attorney Roy when we return. Stay tuned. This is On Point. Welcome back. Stay with us. Attorney Judd Roy, defense lawyer during the Corona impeachment trial. Still so much to talk about. So, in a nutshell, do you believe in her credibility or not?
Pinky, never let the little old lady fool you, okay? How long has she been doing this job? How long? I don't even know, but I think she goes back a long way with the Vice President.
It appeared that it was established earlier that she was also the SDO when the Vice President was mayor back in 1999 to 2022.
Do you have any doubt that she knows her job inside out? Do you have any doubt that she knows when something is amiss? She knows. Was she lying? Maybe, I would say, being selective with what she was answering. I think there was a point where she would remember some things but not other things.
So yeah, one point Attorney Ligutan was underscoring a while ago. He had asked Gina Acosta, nung 2019, ikaw ang SDO, sabi po ni Gina Acosta, yes. Naalala mo ba na yung confidential funds ni Mayor Sara Duterte back then was 460 million?
Right.
Hindi po. Tapos noong 2020, 460 million. 2021, 460 million also. 2022, 460. So he said it's almost 2 billion. Sabi niya hindi niya maalala dahil matagal na po yun at may edad na siya.
Okay.
So yun po yung kanyang sinabi. And then when she was asked, cross-examined by the defense, she was asking, nagkaroon ba kayo ng AOM nung ikaw ang SDO nung 1999 to 2022? Nagkaroon ba ng notice of disallowance si Gina Acosta or si Mayor Duterte? Wala. So, Attorney Ligutan was asking, bakit yung pera hindi niya maalala to the tune of 460 million per year, pero yung AOM and notice of disallowance ay naalala daw niya?
She doesn't want to put herself in a hole, obviously, right? But to be fair also, no, just so I don't sound heartless naman, an AOM or a notice of suspension is reasonably traumatic. When you get that, there's a serious problem, and there is an implication of a legal liability going on right there. So if you went through so many years without anything like that, then it's when you get one, that sticks out in your recollection. If she had smooth sailing in the previous years, then it's possible that the details probably eluded her.
Okay.
Right at this time, but. To say that she doesn't remember everything, or that to say that she was fully forthright in all her answers, I don't think that's the case. The question is, how do you disprove, or how do you prove that she wasn't honest, right? And although it
Did
was
anything in
protracted,
today's, sorry,
go ahead.
did anything in today's hearing or trial prove that she was dishonest?
Well, I think the fact that some answers were given more freely than others on similar points is already indicative of her refusal to get pinned down, her refusal to have to explain why one case is different from the other one, and so forth.
Presiding Judge Chis Escudero was saying, nagtataka siya, well, he brought it out that bakit hindi sinasabina ng prosecution sila Chika? And I think the word he used was siya yung star dito. Can you tell us why? Because while he is in the list of witnesses, he's still not being subpoenaed. And he was the one mentioned by Gina Acosta all throughout the trial. Why is he not being called?
I'm not sure what the reason is.
What would you...
Maybe it's because he might have an explanation that will strengthen the security and intelligence aspect of whatever it is he did. Obviously, the defense is going for a blanket argument that all of this had to be confidential because there were counterinsurgency or whatever it is that they feel would affect national security or the safety of the VP. And if you put La Chica there, and they probably know his background, he's probably prepared to lay down a narrative that will establish that there was really a need and all that. Then it would get messy, because then you'd have to go case by case, document by document. We'd never finish.
But
the question, I think, Pinky, now is it at this point, is it clear enough that there has been a mishandling of the funds?
Well, the allegation is misuse, alleged misuse of confidential funds. So basically, ang sinasabi niyo po, kasi marami magtatanong, bakit hindi pa patawagin si Colonel La Chica? So parang sinasabi niyo, si Colonel La Chica, baka mabuo pa yung storya na kinakailangan talaga yung confidential funds for the Vice President.
Pero ito yan, Pinky, in all likelihood, mas malamang na meron niyang problema. Kaya lang, siguro, magagawan ng storya. Can you imagine kung, let's say, kung sa katotohanan, 10% lang yung talagang ginamit sa counterintelligence or whatever, at yung 90% nilustay or whatever. Di ba? Baka pag pinagsalita mo yun, i-istorya na lang yung 10%. Iisipin na yun ng mga nakikinig na, yun naman pala. Yes, you see. So, there is a risk. Remember, this is a battle of narratives kasi yung nakikinig, yung publiko.
But what about our right to know?
Well,
whether it's somebody else's narrative or the other side's narrative.
Your right to know, our right to know, is actually being protected by the COA. Yun. they're supposed to investigate and find out if there's anything that went wrong. Now, in terms of, do you have a specific right to know where every peso went and all that? Yeah, but the procedure for that is to go through the COA. That's how, we cannot just go out there and say, I have a right to know, it's public fund. It's not that simple. May mga proseso yan. Kailangan sundan natin, kundi magkakaloko-loko ito, hindi nagtatakbo yung gobyerno. Diba?
Just to follow up on that, do you think that they'll ever call Colonel Chica?
They
the
might.
Prosecution,
They might. Why not? I'm sure that's not an easy decision for them to make. And honestly, I have not looked into the details of the facts or the circumstances surrounding La Chica's participation. But to say that he's a central figure is an understatement. I mean, for all intents and purposes, he has 500 million of public funds. Now, is it worth it calling him and asking him to explain where is the 500 million?
But you're also saying, from what I caught earlier, is that even without calling him, that alleged misuse of confidential funds has somehow been established.
Yes, I believe so.
So kaya po sinasabi nyo, baka hindi na kailangan
yes,
si Colonel
I believe
Chica.
so. Remember, Pinky, hindi to proof beyond reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
Diba? That hindi yan ang labanan dito kasi hindi naman conviction dito eh.
Okay. The next witnesses would be one would be Fajarda na nagbigay po ng medical certificate. So medyo nagkaroon po ng issue doon. Baka maging next week na po siya. And then the other one is the assistant chief of staff of the Vice President. Dapat po bukas yan. All right. Just very quickly, I wanted to get your opinion on this voting threshold. Sabi nyo nga, kailangan tingnan, kailangan makita yung body language, kailangan makita mo kung paano nagsasabi ng totoo o hindi. Paano ho yung sa voting threshold na is still a topic that definitely needs to be discussed and even considered if somebody goes to the Supreme Court. I don't think somebody has. Dapat ho ba nasa 2/3 pa rin of all members?
Pinky, alam mo, yung kasing ginamit na lingwahe ng konstitusyon, hindi numero eh.
All.
Fraction. Hindi yung all. Yung 2/3. Oo. Kung gusto niya 16, di sinabi niya 16. Bakit 2/3? Kasi yung 2/3, maraming ibig sabihin yun. Depende kung ano yung all. Ngayon, alam na natin na dun sa Senate President issue, di ba? Na yung all, meron pala silang pinaninindigan na doktrina doon sa Avellino versus Cuenco. So pag nagbabago yung all, magbabago rin yung 2/3.
So hindi po kayo naniniwala sa 16? It's not fixed at 16?
No, hindi po pwede. Kasi hindi ako naniniwala na yung disenyo ng konstitusyon ay sadyang ginawa na maiipit ang republika.
So, you're saying that for Senators Marcoleta and Senator Jinggoy and Senator Bato de la Rosa, -3 na po yan. Dapat 21 na.
21 na.
I see. Okay. Just quickly, just a follow-up on another topic. As a lawyer, I wanted to get also your reaction on the recantation of Orly Gutesa. And three, I think, of the Maleta boys.
Yes.
Ano hong impact nito?
Well, I think ang bangayan is between the ombudsman and kay former Speaker Romualdez. Kasi ito yata parang ginagamit ng ombudsman dun sa kasong yun. Okay? So, ano ba ang effect ng recantation? Well, Pinky, mga affidavit pa lang to. Di ba? Yung sinasabi nila that recantation is frowned upon, that is not exactly true. That happens doon sa proceeding,
kapag nagsalita na po siya.
Pag doon na, let's say, halimbawa, ikaw, let's say, nag-testify ka sa kaso ko, laban sa akin, for instance, di ba? Ako yung accused. Okay, natapos ka na, di ba? Tapos, because of your testimony, nasentensyahan ako, di ba? Nakakulong na ako ngayon. Pwede ka ba ngayon magsabi, a few years later, na, hindi, nire-retract ko kasi galit lang ako kay Attorney Roy. Wala na, di ba? Yun.
But quickly, what if the trial is ongoing? Nag-testify ka na, tapos after that, nag-recant ka?
Pwede ka pa rin makapag-explain kasi buhay pa yung trial eh. Pwede ka namang, kasi tinan mo, Pinky, kahit ikaw, you execute affidavits every now and then, and you make mistakes. We all do, di ba? Remember, affidavit palang pinag-uusapan natin. you should be able to correct your affidavit.
So ano yung value nun? Na yung affidavit na nauna, original, nirecant mo on the second one. Ano yung value nung
Zeros
second
it
one?
out. It zeros it out.
I see.
Yes. Now, here's the problem. What happens here is there will be a question which affidavit carries more weight. Diba? Alin ba yung mas totoo, whatever. Hindi mo yan ma-assess pag hindi humarap yung testigo. Now, if they refuse to testify, wala na yan.
So, upon the appreciation of the ombudsman, ganun ho ba yan?
Meron siyang proseso, and then it goes to court, no? Now, let's say, pag pareho yan, meron isang kumukontra, meron isang pabor, etc. You cannot just choose one.
Yun na nga.
That's incorrect. Bawal yun. The evidence will cancel each other. We call this the rule of equipoise. Ibig sabihin, tabla-tabla. Okay? May nagsasabing ito, may nagsasabing hindi. Anong gagawin natin? Now, in a case where yung
Like this one.
may criminal liability, babalik tayo sa ligang batas. We go back to the Constitution. Presumption of innocence. Ibibigay mo sa kanya yun. He's entitled to that. That's the effect of those affidavits at this time.
So that means back to zero?
Well,
I kind of got lost there.
siguro,
sir.
yes. Well, not back to zero, but maybe the ombudsman can look at those testimonies and decide if there are still things there that remain.
That's
diba?
why. So it will be under the appreciation of the ombudsman.
For the purposes of the case before him.
Yes.
But then if he files that, diba, it goes to the Sandigan Bayan.
Ibang usapan na yun.
Yung nangyari kay Bong Revilla, binigyan siya ng bail because yung evidence daw hindi malakas, etc. Ganun ang mangyayari dito. Pagpunta niyan dun sa Sandigan Bayan, siyempre sasabihin sa, paano mo ako tutuloyan? Ang ebidensya mo, video ni Saldico, totoo ba yun? Yung 18 Marines na naka-perjury ngayon, tatlo na lang, nag-recant, etc. Tapos ito si Gutesa na pinagmulaan nitong lahat ng istorya na to. O paano yan? Pwede mo bang sabihin na evidence is strong, hindi ba?
Would you say that
Pero ito, isa pa, Pinky, ang masakit dito, kasi yan si Romualdez, mayaman na tao. Kaya mahirap para sa kanya sabihin, wala akong kinalaman dyan sa mga maraming pera yan. Kasi siya talaga, to begin with, is a wealthy man. What really happened, as you can see, the evidence at this point is inconclusive.
what do you think the ombudsman will do? Do you think he'll charge him?
Well, let's see. The problem with the ombudsman's position is that for many months, hinahunting niya ito si Romualdez. Publicly, I think there's no question about it. So, ngayon, pag pinilit pa niya ng pinilit, hindi na maganda tignan. Kasi, di ba, I remember nung yung kinuha niya yung 8 dun sa 18 as pinagawa niya ng
affidavit.
Ayaw pumirma. So I called out Miko Clavano. Sabi ko, uy, pag ayaw pumirma niyan, wala ka na magagawa. Ay, hindi pa daw, kasi ikukonsulta pa, etc. Nagkakaroon ngayon ng problema.
Alright.
Bakit may konsulta pa? Kung talagang malaya yan, kusa niyang, he will do it voluntarily. So, these things, hindi ba? I know everybody's aching for an explanation, for revelations and whatnot, but the evidence has to be there. For as long as we follow the rule of law and the process of the courts, we have to respect what it is.
We've run out of time, unfortunately. Hope to have you again, Attorney Roy. Thank you so much
Was my
for
pleasure.
your
Thank
time.
you.
And
Magandang
thank you
gabi.
for joining us. That's On Point. Join us again tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. here on BNC, the Billionario News Channel. I'm Pinky Webb. Thank you for watching.